What are your financial goals for 2024? Is it to save more money? Is it to invest more money? Is it to make more money? Either way, the common denominator here is more money, right? Whether you're just starting out your financial journey or you're looking to level up your finances in 2024, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Chloé Daniels, better known as Chloé Money Coach on the internet, and today we are going to talk about 7 ways for you to build wealth in 2024. All right, step number 1, paying off high interest debt. This comes with a little bit of an asterisk because actually we've got a little step 0. Step 0, before we even get into step number 1, is to always get your employer match up to whatever the maximum it is. Even though you're paying off high interest debt doesn't mean that you should stop getting your employer match if you have an employer match at your 401k or your 403b. That employer match is free money. It's basically part of your compensation. So let's say they're matching 100% up to 3%, get that full 3%. If they're doing 50% all the way up to 6%, then get that full 6%. No matter what, we never want to say no to compensation, right? We never want to say no to free money. So make sure no matter what, you're always getting your employer match. Now on to step 1, pay off your high interest debt. If you have high interest credit card debt, which we're talking about, usually it's above 10%, it's 15%, 20%. I've even seen some that are all the way up to 30%. We really want to prioritize paying that off as quickly as possible because here's the thing. Let's say you're deciding between paying off that high interest credit card debt or investing in the stock market. It's going to be pretty hard for you to get consistent returns that are going to weigh out what you would be saving in interest because of the credit card debt. Like getting a 20% return every year from the stock market isn't necessarily a likely scenario. We can't necessarily control that. The average has been closer to 10% over the last 100 years. We really do want to prioritize paying off that high interest rate debt, but again, always get that employer match. You can do both. Step 2 when it comes to building more wealth is we've got to really focus on increasing our income. Whether it's at your current job or applying to new jobs or maybe even starting that hustle, one of the quickest ways to build wealth is by combining the process of managing your money and reducing your spending with increasing your income. Now, personally, I am a huge fan of focusing on increasing your income at your 9 to 5 first. I know there's a lot of talk on social media about starting a business or starting a side hustle, but unless you're planning on taking that side hustle full time someday, or that's the dream and something that you're working towards, a side hustle at the end of the day is just a second job, right? And that's really not sustainable for most of us. And this is coming from the queen of side hustles. I've had like every single side hustle you could ever possibly have. So oftentimes we really want to focus on the low-hanging fruit of increasing our income as much as possible at our 9 to 5, whether that's asking for promotions or working with your boss to identify how to grow at your company, or looking elsewhere. The fastest way to make more money often is leaving the company you're at to go to another job. If you need more tips on how to increase your income at your 9 to 5 or potentially in starting a side hustle, be sure to check out the show notes down below. All right, step number 3, the B word, the budget. This part is super important, even though this is the part that most people want to skip because we often think of the B word, the budget, as something that is boring, not exciting, something we don't want to do, right? But if you often wonder at the end of the month, where the heck did all my money go? Then it's probably time we get a little bit more awareness on where our money is going, what we are actually spending our dollars on. All a budget does is it allows us to take a little bit more control and tell our money where we want it to go. We're like, hey, I'm assigning these dollars a job. And then it's a lot easier to reach those financial goals because you're being intentional. You're setting intentions on where you want your money to go. The way I like to think about a budget is kind of like it's the map to the destination that you want to go. If you're trying to go somewhere that you've never been before, like a new goal, like financial freedom, like wherever it is that you're trying to go with your financial goals, it's going to be really hard to get there without a map. It's going to be really hard to get there without steps. That's what a budget is for. A budget is like a map to help you get to the destination that you're aiming to go. So if there's one thing you do in this video that could have a huge impact on how you manage your money starting right now, this is it. Going through your spending and really identifying where is my money going and where do I want my money to go. All right, step number 4 is one of my favorites because I am all about lazy wealth management. We're talking about automation. Automating your finances is so important because most of us us don't want to spend a lot of time thinking about our money, right? We have better things to worry about, better things to do. And if we're automating things, then we're doing the things we're supposed to be doing, like saving, investing, paying off debt, without even thinking about it. Think about your bills. Most of your bills are automated, right? So you make sure that every month your rent is paid. You make sure that every month the water bill is paid, the internet is paid, your cell phone is paid, because you don't have to think about it. You just always know that those bills are getting paid. That is the key when it comes to automating things, is we're doing it without even thinking. Now, a lot of people don't realize that not only can you automate your bills through either bill pay or through the company that you're paying for the service, but you can also automate your savings and investing and debt payoff goals. So whether that's automating some money to automatically go into your savings account every month or automating things to go directly into your investments every month, these are things we want to be doing so that we're treating our financial goals just like we're treating our bills. One of the easiest things that for you to do when it comes to automation is just increase your 401k contributions, or make sure that those 401k contributions are happening. That is the power. So many of us have 401ks and we're already investing in our 401k. We don't even think about it because it comes out of our paycheck before we even have the chance to spend that money. That's the beauty of automation, is you're building wealth without even having to think about it. On to step number 5. When it comes to building wealth, we have to have an emergency fund. So an emergency fund is so important when it comes to getting out of the paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. Not only that, an emergency fund is going to prevent us from getting into high interest credit card debt, because if an emergency happens and we don't have an emergency fund, well, how are we going to pay for this emergency? Likely we're going to have to use our credit cards. And the easiest way to get out of credit card debt is to not get into it in the first place. Now, in terms of how much should you have saved for your emergency fund, generally you're going to be looking at 3 to 6 months of your emergency expenses. Keep in mind, I'm emphasizing the word emergency because when you're in an emergency situation where you no longer have income coming in, likely you're going to be spending a little differently than when you're getting your full paycheck, right? So what would you be able to spend? Likely you're not going to be spending on extras like eating out or maybe the Botox or things along those lines. You're going to have a reduced amount of spending. You take that amount and you multiply it by 3 to 6 depending on your situation. Generally, the recommendation is if you're a 2-income household, you can get away with a 3-month emergency fund. But if you're a 1-income household, you're really going to want to focus more on that 6-month emergency fund. And keep in mind, where should you store your emergency fund? It should be in a high yield savings account. All right, step number 6 in terms of how to build more wealth in 2024, you've got to start investing and saving. This is my favorite part of this video because I absolutely love investing, and I'm sure a lot of you are thinking like, cool, investing, I'm going to need a whole video just to learn how to invest. Let's talk about some of the ways that you can start investing even if you know nothing about investing. Investing does not have to be complicated. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of us have 401ks or 403bs or even TSPs. That's investing. And so you could simply increase your investing and your saving by simply increasing your contributions to your TSP, your 401k, or your 403b. Now, here's a couple other ways that you can also start investing when you know literally nothing about investing. Number 1, robo-advisors. Robo-advisors are algorithmic-based financial advice platforms where essentially you can sign up on an app or on a website, fill out a little survey about yourself, your financial goals, and things like that. And the algorithm's going to spit back a portfolio that says, hey, based off of your goals and what you're telling us, here's a portfolio we think that would be the right fit for you. Are you into it or not? And so you get to decide like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pursue with this portfolio, or, let me re-answer some of these questions. It seems a little too conservative for me or a little too aggressive for me, so that you can go in and customize things. That's such an easy way to get started because not only that, with robo-advisors, you often have the option to automate that too. You'll go through, you'll do the survey, they'll recommend a portfolio for you. We'll then ask you like, okay, how do you want to set this up? Do you want to invest a little bit each month? Do you want to do lump sum investing? But that whole process takes about 10 to 15 minutes online, and boom, you're set up and you're automated with investing. The other way to start investing when you know literally nothing about investing is through target date funds. Most of us, if we have a 401k or a TSP or some employer-sponsored retirement account, we already have target date funds. If you go in and look inside of your 401k, you'll probably see a target date fund. A target date fund is kind of the robo-advisor pre-robo-advisors. The way I like to describe a target date fund is it's kind of like a fund of funds. When you open up a target date fund and you look inside, you're going to see a bunch of different ETFs and mutual funds inside that target date fund. It's like a pre-made portfolio, but all you had to do was think, what year do I want to retire? Maybe it's 2050 or 2060. You go in and you look at a list of target date funds and you find the target date fund that is aligned with the date that you want to retire. So maybe you'll find a 2050 target date fund or 2055 or 2060. You can select that target date fund and boom, you're done. You can set up an automated investment that goes into it, and that target date fund is going to go from a wealth accumulation portfolio where it's got the majority inside of it's going to contain mostly stocks between the US and international and all these different sectors and things like that, with a little bit of bonds and fixed income investments that are more that wealth preservation type of investment. And then the closer you get to that target date, slowly that portfolio is going to transform from a more aggressive portfolio that's working on wealth accumulation to a wealth preservation portfolio. When you first started, it may be 90% stocks in that portfolio, but when you get to 10 years out or to that target date, the date that you plan to retire, you're going to notice, oh, there's a lot more bonds in this portfolio now. There's a lot more cash in this portfolio now because it has transformed from wealth accumulation over the years to wealth preservation. And again, you didn't have to do anything. All you had to do was pick the target date fund, set up an automated investment, and boom, you're invested, and it's slowly transforming right along with you throughout the years. All right, tip number 7, and one of the most important tips in your wealth building journey is you've got to set goals. Just like with anything that we're working towards, especially when it's a long-term goal or a long-term vision that we're working towards, we've got to set manageable goals along the way, or else most of us are going to get bored or feel like we're never making any progress. I like to take my big, huge goals like retire early and break it way down into yearly goals. And then once I break it into a yearly goal, I break it into quarterly goals. And then once I break it from a quarterly goal, I'm going down to monthly and sometimes even weekly or daily. And those daily goals can be simple habits of like, I'm going to check my balance on my credit card every day, or I'm going to check my bank account every day, or I'm going to budget every single day. So really taking these huge goals that feel like mountains that we're starting at the bottom and like, how the heck are we going to climb it? Well, we climb it just like we would any other type of hill, step by step. And there you have it. Those are the 7 key steps that you need to take in order to build wealth in 2024 and beyond. Remember, it's not just about the numbers. It's about living a life that's aligned with your values and aligned with your dream life. Money is just a tool to help get us there. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm Chloé Daniels, better known as Chloe Bear Money Coach. And as I mentioned multiple times, we've got links down in the show notes. But if you found this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe to BiggerPockets so that you can see more videos like this. And if you have any questions about anything in this video or anything about wealth building, be sure to drop them down in the comments so we can be there answering your questions. Have a good one. Until next time, take care of your finances and live the life you love.